Yo, what's going on out there, world? Go ahead and call your blurs and blurred friends. It's time to do it again. You already know what it is. Yes, and today we have a special guest. I'm not even going to take all that much time like I usually do, sitting here and talking all through it. I just want to let you know you don't want to go anywhere because it is about to go down. It is a storm of things happening. Haha, see what I did there? And you are joined by me, obviously, none other than the one and only, the real Vince Taylor. Hallelujah, what's happening, Blurred Man himself? We in the building. I am joined by none other than the one and only Tiffie Starchild. What's happening, Tiffie? And yo, guess what, Tiffie?
What, Vince?
We have a special guest today.
Our special guest today.
Oh, you are not gonna believe it. Oh my God, it's like so crazy. Like I'm not even gonna let you guess. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one up on it, and y'all need to not go nowhere because you are in for a storm of a good time. Even tell them what it is.
I love the new blurred order. You should too.
Whoa.
Let me get all this 10p Wayne. All the niggas rapping about the same old thing. I've been coming through with the same old game. Ain't shit changed except 9 got a name. Got it out the mud but we got no stains. Cold ass pistol with a gold ass chain. The girl call me daddy, not my government name. Money on my mind, got them bands on my brain. Let me tell y'all about a nigga I know. The nigga stay clean so he always got hoes. Light skinny bitches like.
All right, sometimes I wish we could change the intro song, but it is what it is. Listen, I am delighted to not only introduce you to somebody that we've met and that we are so in love with, but somebody who voices one of the most impactful characters of our history and time when it comes to X-Men. And let me tell you something, this ain't just something that she does. She does a whole bunch of stuff. We're talking about somebody with a long resume, talent that reaches beyond just voice acting. But I do want to not take any more time. Without further ado, I would like y'all to help me welcome to our platform, from hopefully not the last time, the one and only actress that plays the voice of Storm. Please help me welcome the one and only Alison Smith, aka Storm. What's
Wow. Wow. What an intro. Oh my goodness gracious. Can we live up to the hype?
Oh, please.
Effortlessly.
Oh,
And Vince, I am very proud of you. 1:24. I timed it.
What you don't know, Allison, is I am he of long wind. So it's gonna be speaking of wind, your Storm, Miss Allison. Like, wow. I mean, does that ever sink in? Like, do you wake up in the morning and say, I'm Storm? Like, what's going on? Like, how does it work with you?
No, I don't. I mean, actually, that's what is so weirdly wonderful this time around is that we're tapped into all of the hype because I did Storm. I've been doing Storm now for 30 years. And we did Storm back in the 90s, and it was just another gig. Nobody knew how it was going over. Nobody knew if this was a big thing, a small thing. We would get these a couple of years after, we would get these little inklings that, maybe this was something big, this was something hype. I lived out in Scarborough, which is sort of inner city suburbia. And if a kid found out that I was the voice of Storm, they would go absolutely ballistic, and he would go, okay. Okay, seems to be a cool tune. All right. And I tell this story about one time I was on a film set doing, a small role in some movie or the other, and the word got around that the actress who plays the voice of Storm was on the set. And I watched these hardened IATSE crew dudes. I mean, these are dudes who have seen it all, been there, done that, have absolutely no special love for performers who are all pampered children as far as they're concerned. And I watch men drop cable, drop lights, drop trolleys, drop everything, and just come on over. They're yelling for each other. Hey, Sam, look who we got on set. Yo, Rico, come over here. You got to see this thing. And I'm going, the hell is going on? And it was all about X-Men and Storm. Now, of course, we've got a whole different ball game. And
Mhm.
if you're not whereas last time I think there was too little hype. You had no idea what you were a part of. You just didn't get the import, the resonance too much. And now this time it's almost on the other end of the scale.
Mhm.
It's like a little too much because I'll tell you, the other day I fell down the rabbit hole and I'm sitting on my phone where I sit a lot, and I'm is everything okay there
Oh, sorry,
technically?
sorry.
Yeah.
Every now and then, that's my bad. Go ahead, continue.
I think she wants
Okay.
to see us, man. She
You
wants to
want to
talk
see
to
us?
us.
Yeah, okay. The visual
I
does
don't
work. My
want to
bad.
talk to
Keep going,
you. I don't
Allison.
want to talk to myself.
Bad
Right.
production. Okay,
That's
yeah.
what I be telling him, Allison.
You
I
do be
really,
saying that.
really do.
Yeah. So no, the short answer is that no, I don't live Storm.
I got you.
I came to terms with who she is, but I am a long time ago, but I am finding it. I'm still absorbing and navigating how to be this character.
Right,
Um, in the middle of I knew nothing about fandom.
right.
Mhm.
I didn't know about different Facebook groups.
Mhm.
I fell down a rabbit hole the other day. I'm there with my phone and I'm scrolling, and there's one set of this and there's that, and it's just like, and of course, it just keeps coming and it keeps
Mhm.
because the algorithm goes, you want X-Men? We'll
We're
give
gonna
you
give
X-Men.
you X.
And and it's
Yep.
one after the other, and I went, I don't know if I should be reading this because all of a sudden I'm starting to do yeah, where the hell was she at Gamma's funeral? What's she doing? And how come she didn't do this? Well, I never did that before. I did my job. I went in and I said my lines, and I said thank you very much,
You
and I
collected
left
your
the
check.
studio.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
now I'm questioning, going, well, she could have taken out them sentinels. She could have taken them all out, all by herself. So I don't know what to. I'm just like, Allison, Allison, step away from the phone. Step away
Put
from
the
the
phone
phone.
down.
Put it down. Put it down. Because you still got to go back and do your job the next time they call you into the studio, so you don't be getting all lost in all of this stuff. But it
It
is. It's really on the one hand, there is a much deeper, richer appreciation of who she is, what the show means.
Mhm.
And on the other hand, there's this trap. And I'm just really, really glad actually that I'm the age that I am, that
Mhm.
I've had the experience that I've had,
Mhm.
that I've had the career behind me that I've had,
Mhm.
so that I don't, you know, get totally sucked into the wormhole of what it means to be in something that is that iconic culturally and has been getting all this hype on out there on the
Hmm.
internet.
I personally, I'm down the rabbit hole. I'm at the bottom of the rabbit hole, looking up, beckoning other people to come in. That's where
She's a
my
rabbit.
role is in the rabbit hole. I'm pulling other people down the rabbit hole, and it's interesting because I actually did have that question for you, and I don't want to get you in trouble because I know you got to go back to the studio and you got to give us more Storm, but it was going to be kind of about the response that your character received at the end of X-Men 97, where some people did feel that maybe we didn't see enough of Storm. I'm of the camp that it being an ensemble piece, we're not going to get big moments from everybody, but we got a lot from Storm this season. We also got to see her be vulnerable in a way that we haven't outside of the comic books, and not for a very long time. But then also we got to see her fear. We got to see her express some of her truth as a mutant, and I think some very coded things as a Black woman navigating this world. I feel that that's just as important as the big lightning and thunder, especially coming from the perspective as a Black woman, because we're either portrayed one way that's not very, very favorable, or we are the strongest people in the room. We carry the team, everything lies on us. We very rarely get to be vulnerable. So I loved seeing that from Storm this season, understanding that it's not her solo piece, but we got to see something from her that we don't get to see. Do you have any thoughts about that? And just and oh, not the trash guy coming by right now. That is so rude. But do you
We
have
can't
any
hear nothing.
thoughts about that and just that impact?
Yes, I have thoughts, and you just expressed them, Tiffy. You just, no, you just said it, and you said it so perfectly. And yes, I did find myself, falling down the hole. And yes, um, Disney, Marvel, please don't listen. But yes, every now and again you go, wouldn't it have been great if the arc after that sort of that opening in episode 1, where it was, omega level threat detected, and that if we had been able to come to around to something that was huge at the end in terms of the fighting and the this and the that. Yes, that thought has uncharitably occurred to me. The beauty of it is that I have a deep, deep trust in this team that
Mm.
we're working with. Um, there has been nothing but respect that has come off the writing team, the producing team, the directing team, my castmates, and so on. This is a well loved, well cared for project. And if they decided to bring Storm in with bells and whistles, but not take her out with bells and whistles, but give her a hellified emotional arc instead in between, then that's what I'll take. And I trust them completely. So yes, the thoughts enter, you know. It would have been it would have been fine. Just blow everybody else away. All you other X-Men, just stand back and watch the goddess do her thing. And when there
That's
is the
right.
Storm show, um, maybe that will happen.
It's
But
on the
it
way.
was a really compelling, really interesting arc to travel, to play. And I had lots and lots of fun in it, and it demanded certain things of me. And so I'm well satisfied. And we also got season 2 coming, so hey.
Which we
Ooh.
won't ask about because we don't want you to get in trouble.
Because we need
Nope,
her
nope,
back
nope.
for all the seasons. That's right. But I'm interested because this season 2 is of X-Men 97, but you originally came in on X-Men 92. You know what I'm saying? This is like as you
Yeah.
said, like 30 years plus. And as you've discussed, like there's an audition process originally. I think I even saw you at C2E2 where you kind of described how you got a call from the agent and you was like, they was like, look, get down there and audition for this role. And he was like, all right, whatever. I got 2 kids. I'm trying to, I'll be there. You know what I'm saying? You went down there and did it and walked away with the job. But what I found interesting in that answer was that you discussed the fact that you were raising 2 kids. And it sounded like you
Yeah.
even said alone in that clip. And I think that gets brushed over. Like, could we talk about the complexity of you having to juggle your acting career, you moving from country to country and then landing on this United States based project, but still having to do the parenthood thing, still having kids at home, still having to kind of juggle that. Like, what's that like? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it was hard. It was hard for a while. I mean, I'm originally from Barbados,
Right, right.
and growing
Agent.
up in the 70s with, solid middle class conservative Bajan parents, you
Oh,
didn't even say out loud that you wanted to be an actor
Mm.
mm,
professionally, right? Everybody would have humored me if I'd said, obviously my personality was such that, acting, performing made sense, but nobody would have been surprised if I'd done that as a hobby. But the fact that I wanted to do this as a living was not something that anybody was used to. And then so I came up to Canada, and my whole career was in Canada, because although
okay.
X-Men was a US based show, every single actor in X-Men the animated series was a Canadian actor, and we
Mhm.
were all based in Toronto, all of us.
Mhm.
Okay.
Um, and at the time that that happened, now oh, it was rough at first. It was rough, I tell you. I remember
Talk to us, please.
my oldest had it harder than my younger one did, because of course when the oldest was around, there was nothing. Mom was getting one gig here and one gig there. I remember this poor child. I remember us having to walk home in the snow because I didn't have the token to go on the subway that day. I
Mm.
just
Wow.
didn't have it. So her little 5-year-old legs had to get up that hill in the snow. And I remember
Mm.
we were playing some game, and I was talking about, the polar bears are behind us. Keep going, girl.
Oh.
Keep
Oh,
going. The polar
wow.
bears
Okay.
are gonna get us. And it was this whole thing. And then, things started getting better and better. And I was lucky. The gigs started happening. I moved from doing all of this. I did a lot of theater for social change. Uh,
Mhm.
Yes.
I did anti-racism work. I did anti-homophobia work. I did, stuff on homelessness, on spousal assault, everything we did. And then I always say that I think it was because women were getting positions of power in the theater industry. Now, remember, I'm going to talk mostly about theater because theater's my thing.
That's
No,
But if
yes.
you
please.
look at my IMDb page, you will see a whole slew of film and television. I did film and television to support my theater habit.
Mhm.
Um, Theater was my thing. I loved
I love that.
the that immediacy. I loved flying without a net. I loved the fact that there were 1,000 people out there in the audience and it was live. And if I didn't remember, the lines, I just love that stuff. I have a soft spot, and because people used to ask me all the time, why don't you leave Toronto? You're doing so well. After a while, I started doing better. Why don't you go to LA? Why don't you go to New York?
Mhm.
And I just wasn't. I had those two kids, and I'm
Mm.
sorry, you guys ain't got no damn health care.
No,
So
it's true. It's
Nope.
true.
if
True.
I was gonna be,
True.
if I was gonna be a struggling, about to make it actor, I preferred to do
Toronto.
it where I could take my kids to the doctor
Right.
I'm with
without, because I wouldn't have had any insurance in those days.
true.
Um,
True.
but then yes, it all started coming together. And actually, right when they asked me to audition for X-Men the animated series, I was finally doing the big stages.
Ooh.
So
Oh
I
wow.
wasn't I wasn't I wasn't in church basements and parks
Mhm.
and government offices and hostels and halfway houses and all of that kind of stuff doing my theater anymore, because we did our plays, we did our theater wherever the audience was. We weren't
Yeah.
in a theater
Of
asking, you don't ask assaulted, battered women to come to the theater to see the play. So we
Mhm.
were in these spaces, and I wasn't there anymore. And there I am. I'm on one of the biggest stages in Canada now, and I'm doing Shakespeare, and
Mm.
it feels as though I am arriving. And,
Mm.
I own a car now. I don't have to make my babies
Okay.
walk
Okay.
in the snow.
No more
I have
polar
a
bears
car.
chasing you and your kid
Up the snow.
Yeah.
up in the snow.
And then that's just when my agent calls and says, go for this audition. Cartoon, a cartoon. And I'm like, really?
Yes.
Seriously? Can't you see that I am making it? I am on the big stage. I own a car. Do
Do
I
you
look
know who I
like
think
I need?
I am? I'm an
Don't
actress.
Yes. Do
don't
you
thou
know who I
realize.
think I am?
Betwixt thyself
But
and
I
realize who. Like, yeah, I got you.
but I was also balancing that with the fact that because things were just starting to gel for me, I was still hungry. I was really, really
Mm,
hungry. I'm young. The kids are smallish, and yes, it feels like it's coming together. And no, it's not nearly as scary as it was in the bad old days when you were asking the landlord to take half the rent until the money for the radio drama came through,
Mm.
or the 2 days that you had on a movie. It's coming up next week, dude. So just take this. Those days are moving behind me, but I'm still hungry,
Mhm.
and this was something that I'd never done before. So when
mm,
I walked into that audition, it was sort of a mixture of feelings.
Mhm.
It was, okay, come on, let's get this over and done with. I what is this, Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear? This is what cartoons are to me, right?
mm,
So, and but on the other hand, there is this, what the hell is this? I've never done this. Let's
mm,
go do this. Let's see what this is about. Look, there's something else that I can do. And yeah, so it was really, it was interesting, and they called it Project X. But the truth is that if they had told me, I don't know if you guys know any Caribbean people, and I don't know if you know Bajans,
Yes, we know,
but
baby.
traditionally we're very conservative, right? So my old man wouldn't even allow comic books in the house.
Yeah, yeah.
So, if we were going to be reading, we were told, get a
The
book,
Bible. Oh wow.
right?
Probably
We're
the book
not
of
doing comic,
Ecclesiastes or Genesis or something like that.
something. So, even if they had said, instead of calling it Project X, even if they'd said X-Men, even if they'd called out all the names of the X-Men, if they'd told me, yeah, you go in an audition for Storm on the X-Men, I would have been like, who?
You're right.
What?
Right, right. All right. How much you
Why?
pay?
What? Yeah. What is
What's
this?
the
They're
salary?
gonna pay me when I do this voice?
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, it was beautiful, and when I got her, I fell in love with her immediately, and I always tell the story that it was the part of her that was queen
Mm,
that
Mm.
I found that I could connect with. And I can't remember all the other descriptors that they used of who this person was and how they contextualized this character. I just know that something in what they said made me go, oh,
mm.
she's a queen. I can do that. I can do that. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. Um, and I just reveled in the power of her, because there just there simply aren't that many roles for Black women
Okay.
where we have that level of power,
Hmm.
and I loved it.
Can I say thank you for that response? Can I say you saying specifically that there was something about the way that they described Storm to you, that, oh, she's a queen, and I see that. I'm a Disney girl. So growing up in the 90s, I had the Disney princesses, and those were my everything. But and I did not know how to articulate this or what it really meant as a child. I just knew that the princesses did not look like me. And as much as I
Mm,
love them, they're not for me in the way that they were for other little girls. And then there was Storm. And I tell this story all the time on my own social media platforms. But what you brought to that character, that regalness that you picked out and then put into her voice and her mannerisms, it meant everything for little girls that look like us, because we did not have the Disney side of it. We didn't have, it is very interesting, the conversation around representation, particularly when maybe a non-Black character is made into a Black character. Well, what are we going to do? How are we going to see ourselves? You're taking away my childhood. My childhood was the default was, I'm not going to see myself represented. Get in where you
yeah,
fit in. And then there was Storm and everything that she is. So I just wanted to jump in and tell you your way of thinking, what you brought to that character, so much impact. And I know that you must hear it from us all the time. I want to be able to tell you directly what that meant to me and how that shaped me as a person. So,
and I appreciate that, because I was very, very, very well aware,
Mm.
when I was doing this that I represented something,
Mm.
important. I might not have understood where X-Men sat in the in the canon of comic book stories, or where it sat there, but I knew how important it was to have a black character like
Mm.
this. Um, and I saw it all the time, and I mean I saw it when, before I even auditioned for this, when I was out in Stratford, and of course they bus the inner city kids out to see Shakespeare, and you
Oh.
could see them, all, and then you peep through and you see them, they're all really, really restless, and at that point, there's nearly 1,000 kids out there, and most of them are black, or some people of color, kids of color.
Mm.
And when I made my entrance as Hippolyta,
Ooh.
the place went silent, because again, it's the same thing. It's a woman with power, and the way that the director had directed it, it was amazing. Everything stops when I crossed the stage. I was crossing in 5-inch heels at the
Oh.
time, on a really, really bumpy set, and all I could concentrate on was not falling down. But when I made my exit and the entire place erupted,
Mm.
I knew, and I wasn't being egotistical. That had nothing to do with what Billy Shakespeare wrote. That
Mm.
had to do with the fact that these kids had just seen a queen
Mm.
cross the stage, and it looked like them.
Yes.
And she was, and so yes, I was very well aware of what that meant.
Wow.
And I've been proud, really, really proud, and honored to wear that mantle,
And
because
from what I hear,
representation is so important. Representation is so important.
Oh, it is the most important.
and what I'm hearing is, so that you're just used to playing a queen, being a queen. You just didn't
Oh yeah,
was that Midsummer Night's Dream fairy queen over there as well?
yes,
She's like, I
yes.
was born to be a queen. I'm Allison. What's up? That's what I got from that. Just
I'm loving it. I'm
Yeah.
loving it. Allison, I'm wondering, because it sounds like in that experience, you saw firsthand the impact of not only your ability to act and embody these characters, but your voice. Like the voice that you brought to Storm, because you don't just talk like any old average, you know what I'm saying? Like you speak majestically with that Barbados voice that we know Storm comes to the stage with. When they say bring in the forecast, oh, you bring in the forecast. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering, like, the audition process. I'm really curious about it. Like, as you were in front of those kids that came in from the inner city, you're also in front of those same kids in front of the television set. So when you get the audition, does it say, okay, this is a black woman with a majestic voice, we need you to read it like this? Or does it just have words on a script and you make of it what you think it should be? Like, what's the coaching process when it comes to establishing the actual voice of Storm?
That first audition, I walked in with nothing. So what I gave them was, now remember that the writing in both iterations of this is top notch. So if you're an actor with a certain kind of sensibility, then what you do is you tailor your delivery to fit the speech that you're given. Obviously, if you walk in and somebody's talking, "Yo, girl, sup?" That's that's one thing, If somebody is saying, "Winds blow, lightning," then when you see that on the page, those aren't toss-offs. This
Right.
is not casual conversation. This has gravitas. This has, when she announces before she does her stuff, it's almost like an incantation.
Yes.
um that's why I always find it really, really compelling, of course, because they don't, as far as I know, as far as I remember, we don't talk about it a whole lot in the animated series or in X-Men 97, but she comes from a long line of blue-eyed, white-haired witches.
yes.
Yes.
Witches. magic,
Yes.
not
Yes.
just superpowers,
Hmm.
not just magic.
Beyond being a mutant, Storm has her own ancestral magic. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And I don't know, again, it's one of those, I don't play things when I make discoveries about the character. It's not like you go into the studio and you play it. You
Hmm.
don't suddenly go, "Oh God, she's really a witch." And so and it changes what you do. It is just that's part of what goes in there. And you can tell from the writing that these things that she said, they're almost magical incantations. You
Hmm.
know, the witches in Macbeth, are doing this, and cauldron boil and cauldron, and she is going, I call on the sands. And to me, there was only one way that you could sort of do that. There was a way that you could convey the majesty. There was a way that not just majesty, not just regal, but the idea that she is connecting to something that is older than she is,
Hmm.
that she's calling on ancestors
Hmm.
when
Ooh,
she does this.
just gave me
And
chills.
she that that is something, and that's unique for us, and that was something that I felt almost instinctively
Mm.
from the very, very beginning. um and I mean, and it also helps that I'm from the Caribbean, and we tend to be pretty presentational, and even our theater is sort of very, very out there. It's not, yeah, I call our style of performing presentational versus that sort of navel gazing individuality. um Characters on stage in Caribbean plays tend to be archetypes rather than individuals. And
Mm.
so I knew this archetype of the powerful woman who could
Mm,
call on her ancestors,
Mm.
who
Mm.
could weave magic. And so all of that sort of found its way in. And you do it off instinct.
Mhm.
I just driven in from Stratford. I didn't know what this thing was about. I didn't know how you did voice acting. I'd been doing this for quite a few years, but I'd never done voice acting.
Mhm.
I'd done a radio play. I did a whole bunch of the BBC from England would come down, and again, the gravitas, this voice, and I would be doing all of these Greek plays and all kinds of stuff for radio, but I had never done anything for animation. Um, but you tap into instincts, and
mm.
and when you've got good instincts as an actor, and you're presented with really good storytelling
Mhm.
and some kick-ass writing,
Woo!
then you just trust it and go with it.
Follow up. Did the script actually say this is a black character, or was that left up for interpretation?
No, I'm pretty sure that I knew going in that this was a black. I can't remember all of the
Mhm.
details.
Okay.
Um, I think we saw a drawing. I think we might have
Okay.
been
Okay.
shown a drawing, but I'm not sure. I mean, the whole process was so new for me. I remember the first day that I walked into the studio because, again, I'm youngish. I'm in my 30s, and I'm kind of cocky because, I'm making it now. I'm an actor. So
As
I
you
just knew how
As
this
you
was going to
should
go
be.
down, and I was ready to meet all my fellow actors, and we were going to get this good vibe going. And like I said, I'd done this radio drama, and with the radio drama, there would be a few of us in the studio at the same time. But what I didn't realize was, because I was out in Stratford at the time and I only had one day off. We
mm.
worked 6 days a week,
Mm,
Wow.
and I have one day off. So the only time that they can record me is on Mondays.
Mm.
So when I walked into the studio, I'm looking for all of these colleagues of mine that I'm gonna meet, and I'm gonna get the team, and we're gonna just be vibing off each other, and it's gonna be good. There was nobody there.
Oh no.
There was a studio, and there was a microphone, and
mm,
there was a music stand with a script
Mm.
on it.
mm.
And in the other room, behind a glass, was Dan Hennessy, the director.
Mhm.
And I'm waiting. I'm still stunned because I'm a theater person. We work as a team. You
Right.
Right,
get
right,
on
right, right,
that
right.
stage and it's a symbiotic relationship,
Yes.
and I'm completely dependent on the energy that people are giving me. I mean, it changes the show, you know?
Right.
It's like up on stage and I'm going, "Ooh, Tiffy's off tonight. I gotta find where her energy is
Tiffy
and
and Amber are off on the
her
stage now. Wait a minute.
whatever it is." But it's between me and you in the
Mhm.
scene, right? And nothing, nothing.
Mhm.
So it really is, you do have to go off of instinct. You do have to trust what's on the page. You do have to find your energy all by yourself. I can't come in on a bad day and wait for my colleagues to be really kicking it and I'm going, "Oh Lord, they kicking it today. I better I better keep up." There's there's um, there's none of that. So it's a really interesting way to do things, and I'm just lucky that my instincts tend to be good, and I'm even more lucky that it's I happen to be part of great storytelling
Mm.
and good dialogue, and that helps.
I don't think you
Well,
just happen to be. I think you earned it. But anyway, Tiffy, please.
well, I mean, so is it the same process now where you are very isolated from the rest of the cast when it comes to recording? And as a little follow-up question to that, you had to do some acting against yourself when you played the adversary. So you had someone there completely in your head. What was that experience like?
Great question.
Well, yes, to answer the first part, yes, we're still alone.
Mm,
Um, and well, even if before that there were I worked on another a Canadian animated series that I really loved called Delilah and Julius,
mm,
and that one we worked all together and it was so
Mm.
much fun, all of us in the room. But then if there was any work like that, COVID put an end to it.
mm,
And
mm,
so now we're scattered all over the place. So not only is it that, because at least before it was all of us, we were all in Toronto. And so, maybe we didn't all work together, but we were all in in the same city, and some people
mhm,
managed to work together. I was the odd person out because I had this
mhm,
job 6 days a week and it was 2 hours outside of Toronto. But now, yes, it's very isolated work. Some people
mm,
are at home in their home studios. Some
mhm,
people are in
Mm.
LA. Some people are in Nova Scotia. Some
mm,
people are in Toronto. Some people are out in Vancouver. So it's yes, it is still, it's very isolated, but now it's much more par for the course. This
mhm,
is what everybody expects now.
mhm.
Whereas when I did it in the 90s, it was a shock for
Yeah.
me
Right.
to walk into that studio, and it was just the microphone and the script. Now that's what you expect.
Mhm.
Mm. Uh, did she
And then
answer your
the
question?
follow-up, oh, absolutely, she did. And then the follow-up, doing the voice of the adversary, because and then I was
Yes.
stunned learning that you also did that voice, because I could have sworn it was you and somebody else going back and forth in the and girl, it was just
Well,
you.
the
Al-
good thing is, although I would have loved the acting challenge because I love a challenge, but it wasn't like I was in the studio doing adversary line, storm line,
Mhm,
adversary line, storm line.
mhm,
So I went in and I did adversary.
mhm,
And that was first. That was almost before I did anything else. I did
mm,
adversary. And so adversary had a life all of her own.
mhm,
Um, and then quite a long time after that, I went in and recorded the storm section of that same
mhm.
episode.
Wow.
So it was good because I was glad that I tackled adversary first. I was glad that I
Mhm,
was able to find that evil delight that the adversary had. Um, and so it was like they were on two completely different tracks,
mhm.
it and which was great.
Nailed
and
it.
then they put them together. And there was quite a bit of time that passed between my recording of The Adversary and then my recording of Storm in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, I'm sorry, Tiffie.
No, I'm still.
I mean, yeah, wow, right? I just learned something. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you for putting us on. But since it's a long time, it's also been a long time since you did the original project. And so at some point in time, word must have started getting out that, hey, there's this possibility that they may be revitalizing. When do you get the official word that you're coming back? You know what I'm saying? That X-Men 97 is now official. It's not just a rumor. This is actually happening. And how do you react to that? Are you in the middle of a project? Do you have to quit? Do you have to be like, oh, okay, let me, or is it also the same thing as you first started? But like, okay, well, cartoon character, it's been 31. I don't even know if people are still into it. Like, what goes through your mind when you learn about it?
Well, I didn't hear any of the rumblings. After we ended, X-Men the animated series in 97, my life moved on and in other directions, and the focus, my obsession for 98 and 99 really was all about forming this theater company that was a Black theater company.
That was the
It was
obsidian.
really important to me that we take responsibility and we tell our own stories. And there had been a bunch of us who were sort of talking, oh, they never tell our stories. Nobody ever does. You don't see this and you don't see that and you don't see the third. And finally I said, listen, we grown.
Right.
We don't have to wait for anybody to tell our stories. They're our stories. We will tell them ourselves. So we will form a theater company and we will tell our own stories. And so in 2000, I think it was either 99, I think we launched something in 99, and then in 2000 it came into being the Obsidian Theater Company that was dedicated to the exploration, development, and celebration of the Black voice on the world stage. And so this is all in my head, and I'm not, I don't know what they were talking about, what they weren't. And then in 2009, my mom got sick in Barbados. And I went down to be with her, and she fought the good fight for 4 years. And when she died in 2013, I had a job. And I was in Barbados, and I'm living now a completely different life. I am totally out of any kind of loop. And I come back in 2020. So apparently there were all of these little rumblings.
Oh yeah, Streets was talking.
It's 2020 and I can't remember. Maybe it was 21. I get this email from somebody going, just reaching out on behalf of Disney, trying to find Alison Sealy-Smith. And I'm like, daughter, come here, look at this. Look at this stupidness. Somebody actually wants me to believe that freaking Disney is looking for me. Yeah, right. At this point, I'm semi-retired now. I've gone down to Barbados in 2009. I haven't been on any kind of Canadian stage, any movies, anything since 2009. It's 2020, for goodness sakes. It's 11 years later, and yeah, right, Disney's looking for me to do sure. Right? And then another email came. And then another email came. And you're like, what is going on? And finally there was an email that came that and I'm rushing around screaming, going, somebody, Disney. And my daughter, because I live with my daughter out in the country in Ontario now, and she's like, Mom, you want to just calm down a bit? And I'm like, yeah. Somebody just called and is talking to me from Disney, and they're talking about X-Men, and they want me to audition for Storm because they put us through our paces again.
Really?
Which makes oh yeah. I mean, like, suppose I've been smoking too many cigarettes. Smoke when they put me on. I summon the winds. blow winds. No,
Please.
So they do. They have to check and they have to see where we're at, right? They have to see where the voice is that we haven't our living has not totally destroyed where we are. And I mean, I was terrified because I don't audition anymore.
Mm.
Auditioning it's an art in and of itself, and it's a terrifying experience, and you're putting your everything out there, and you often don't get the roles. I mean, I'd spent an entire career getting used to this idea of putting myself out there and nobody wanting me, and putting myself out there and nobody wanting me, and needing the job so badly because I've got to pay the rent or the mortgage and you're not getting it. So to audition all over again was scary. I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
didn't know if I could do it. I hadn't done it in so long, and I looked at the lines, and it was all really familiar, and all I could do was just go out there, go out there. It was all on Zoom. Um, and just do what I've always done, which is, trust the lines,
Mm.
trust myself,
Mm.
trust my instincts, and do it. And when I opened my mouth for the audition, I felt her. I felt her inside, and all I could think to myself was, I don't know if you want me or not, but I know I still got it.
Okay. Okay.
If you don't if you don't want what I got, that's your business. But I still got it.
I know that's
And so
right.
I remember I closed that audition because the worst auditions are the ones where you leave and you go, oh no,
Yeah.
oh
Mm-hmm.
no, I should have. But if I just,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
did I, and you want to run back inside or
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever and tell them, please, please let me do that again because
Mm-hmm.
I know how to do it. And I do remember laying down that audition for them and going, well, that's how I know Storm. That's what I got. And
Mm.
it feels to me like I still got it, but so much, if it's one thing that you learn being in this business, is sometimes being good is not enough.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for
Mm-hmm.
us. Just for real.
It's just not. I mean, you can go into, especially the theater is different. The theater really is about talent and sort of being there. But film and television it's so much about what you look like and who you're going to be
Mhm.
acting with, and
Mm-hmm.
you can go in there and put your heart and soul and come out and know that you did a damn good audition
Yeah.
and not get it because you're 2 inches too short
Right.
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is. Or the lead actress really wants her best friend to come do it, so she's
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever.
Politics.
But I did feel good at the end of that one, and it was a long wait to
Mm.
find out. Other
Dang.
people found out before I did.
Oh.
um that they
Like
had, but it's
other
it's
characters
just a
in the show.
process.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a process.
Mm.
And
Okay.
eventually, what was to be came to be.
Ooh.
All right. We're picking it
And
up.
I loved when the first time, and even though you get it and you sort of could go, I did a good audition and now I have the role. I have never been so scared as when I walked back into the studio.
Really?
Yes, yes, because now you've got it, and now now you got to do it, right? And
Right.
it's one thing to do the few lines that they want you to do for an audition, but now you got to get your way through an episode, and you're not at home on Zoom doing your thing. Um, you are in a studio. It was beautiful because it was the exact same studio that I had been standing in 28 years before.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't even recognize it. I'm there in the Uber heading, to this thing, and I'm going, it looks this looks familiar, but no, no. This looks this looks And finally, we pull up in front of the building, and I walk inside, and I went, "Oh my goodness, my goodness! I'm coming home. I'm coming
Mm.
home. It's okay. It's okay." I was still scared. I was still scared. Um, and that mixture of huge excitement and gratitude and love for the role and the little bit of terror, it lasts to this day when I go
Mm.
into the studio. It's
Wow.
not something that I take for granted, but I've always known that I mean, I've done this for so long, and I stand off stage in the wings when I'm ready to go onto the stage for theater, and my stomach, the butterflies are just in my stomach and coming out through my mouth. And I told myself, the day that you don't feel that, the
Mm.
day that those butterflies aren't fluttering like there's no tomorrow, the day when you're not standing off stage going, "Holy, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this," is
Mm.
the day that you're supposed to stop
Mm,
doing it.
mm,
Wow.
Because adrenaline is the actor's best friend. And you have to care.
mm-hmm.
You have to care about what you do. It's not enough to go, "I'm good.
Mm.
Lines are good. This is everybody's gonna love it because it's good." You still have to get in there
Mm.
and work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just scared that when I don't feel that nervousness anymore, when I don't feel that flutter, that some of the caring will be gone.
Mm.
I will have finally gotten cynical, blasé, "Tch, just a job." And so I still feel it. I still feel it when the Uber pulls up outside of the studio and I've got to go in and do my thing. I feel it. And now I feel it differently,
Mm,
because before it was I was feeling it because I like doing a good job. Who doesn't?
Right, of course.
Who
right.
doesn't? Nobody. It doesn't matter if what it is that you're doing, you want to do your best and you
Mm-hmm.
want to be good at it. But now, um, this is when you realize, wow, this is a I didn't have the the safety of the ignorance that I had then. And I mean ignorance in terms of I just didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we went into the studio and we did our jobs. Now, when you go into the studio, you're much more, "Oh wow, this is the X-Men. This is this
Yes.
is the X-Men. This is the X-Men on Disney. This is the X-Men on Disney, and Marvel with all them, yep. And this is Thor. This is Thor." And so it's really cool, and I talk about this a little bit because I'm much more aware
Mm,
of what it
Mm.
is that this means, and that can make you scared.
mm-hmm.
But I balance that off with the fact that I'm the age that I am, and I got the years behind me that I do, and I trust myself a lot more than I used to.
Mm,
Mm.
And I don't, I'm not as hungry anymore. I don't have anything to prove. I don't have to
mm.
prove to a soul that a little black girl from Barbados has a right to be out here. I done proved it,
Let's
did
go.
it,
Mm-hmm.
did it. So when I walk into that studio, there's a part of me that's going, "Oh boy, oh boy, this is Storm. This is Storm in the X-Men. X-Men 97 is Disney. Oh boy, oh boy." And the other one's going, "Just stop it. You got this. You've done
Mm.
Ooh.
it.
Love
You
it.
are this. Just just open your mouth and do your job." And so it's an interesting, beautiful, tense balance between those two things. And I'm just really happy. And I'm just and one of the big perks of this is meeting people like you.
Mm.
Like,
Oh, let me put this up here.
I was
We
so good at
didn't.
holding back these tears until now.
You
No,
better stop, man, because you know
I'm
what I'm saying? What you
tired.
gonna do right now?
We didn't know we were alone telling our story in a little studio,
You made Tiffy.
hoping that this story was going to reach people. And now I sit here with people like you, and we talk about what this means to people who look like us.
Hmm.
And it is it is a very, very cool thing, and it is the thing that I'm most grateful for, is to be able to share like this, and to know that this is a community that I'm part of, that it's
Hmm.
I'm not just an actor doing a
Mm-mm.
Mm.
job in a pretty cool role, that there's this whole community of people, and I get to see them and I get to talk to them.
I
There
gotta
was
say, oh, go
uh,
ahead,
oh,
Tiffy. I'm
I
sorry.
think I attended a X-Men fandom panel probably back in 2021 at San Diego Comic-Con, and Lenore was on that panel. I think she was the only voice actor on the panel, but that was one of the things that she had expressed. And for the audience that doesn't know, that y'all would receive tons and tons of fan mail and all of these things from children like me, but they didn't tell y'all about it. They didn't tell you anything about the impact you were having or the fans that you had. So y'all really had no idea. And then suddenly here we are as adults, and we're just like, "Ugh, Mom, like, we were waiting for you." And so,
Yes, yes. And it's beautiful. It's everything is this sort of awe, and it's awe-inspiring, and the beauty, I mean, beauty and terror. Beauty and terror sometimes go hand in hand, and so that's the way that I feel, is that I feel a big sense of responsibility, which I've always felt as
mm,
a black actor.
mm,
Mm.
In Canada, where there's just not that many of us, and in the 90s, and I started in the 80s, and there was nobody. I was
mm,
the first Black Canadian actor to have a major role on the big stage out in Stratford. The
wow.
first. I was the first Black actress to have a principal ongoing role in a
Mm,
Canadian television series.
mm-hmm,
Mm.
So it's been wonderful to watch it change. And I remember I got highly annoyed at one point, because they were they I talked to a lot of people as one of the successful Black actors, and this is successful not in terms of money, because
Ah.
I love theater so much, I've never made a lot of money. If I
Mm.
wanted to do that, I should have left Toronto a long time ago, and gone to LA. But that wasn't what I was in it for. Um, anyway, but yeah, I've kind of lost my train of thought, but it has always been really important to know that you are a representative of something. And I've always felt a deep-seated sense of responsibility. Um, um, and now it's just magnified
Mm.
1,000 times. So, but on the other hand, now I am part of a pantheon. Now it is easy to establish the shoulders on which I stand. And we're not alone. We're surrounded. And oh yes, when I got highly annoyed
oh,
was when I was talking to a bunch of kids they were at the National Theatre School in Canada,
mm,
and they were all complaining. And they were like, "Oh, nothing has changed like since the 60s, and we can't get these roles, and we can't get these sweetheart, sweetheart." As somebody, I remember when I auditioned for a show in Canada called Night Heat, and
mm-hmm,
I've told this story before, and my hair was kind of like this. It just wasn't as thin in parts, but my hair was like this neat little natural thing. And I went in and I auditioned, and I was kind of happy with my audition. And the guy who was auditioning me, he sat there and he went, "Oh my God, you're good. You're good. You could do some things. You know, I would advise that you consider investing in some wigs because there's just no way that people are ready for that kind of do that you have there."
Mm,
And
mm,
not everywhere is Toronto. You recognize you got to play out to the prairies, right?
mm,
So
Oh my
get
God.
some wigs, get some nice. And so I had to tell the kids, we have gone in the span of my professional career from where somebody was telling me to invest in wigs so
mhm,
that I could
Mm.
play something on Night Heat, to
mhm,
where I played a judge on a
mm.
show with dreads.
With dress. Come
Oh my.
on.
Pull up.
With the locks.
So little
Yes.
little children, little boy, little girl, don't be telling me about things have not changed. It may feel that way to you.
Mm,
We I remember back in the day, in the 80s, you did not, in Canada. Now remember, I'm from Canada. This is not
mhm,
the States.
mhm,
You could watch TV all night and
Yeah.
not see a single black person.
mhm,
Oh,
We
heck.
did not drink beer. We did not eat in restaurants,
mm,
apparently,
mm,
Wow.
because we weren't represented in any of the ads,
mhm,
you know. Maybe a fried chicken. You might find us in a
mm,
KFC ad,
See it.
maybe, but otherwise nothing.
mhm,
And I said, you've gone from that to where we simply were not, we didn't use shampoo, we didn't use feminine hygiene products, we didn't do anything because we just weren't represented on
mhm,
TV in any of these ads. I remember the day that I walked into a Canadian Tire, which is a huge national hardware store up
mhm,
here, and I saw this banner, and it was in the seasonal section, and the banner was a dad and his kid fishing
mhm,
because they were trying to sell their seasonal stuff. That's where you went to get your stuff. And they were both black. And if anybody had seen me in the store, I'm literally looking up at this banner with my mouth like this going, "What's the catch? What's the catch? They're gonna tell you when your dad gets out of jail,
Oh God.
Wow.
or
I feel
Enjoy
you.
your time with your dad while you have him. Like something.
Yeah. At least you have a
something."
dad.
But
Yeah.
there wasn't. It was just
Mm,
we had finally come to the point
mm,
That's true.
where they were selling stuff to white folks
mm,
using black folks. And
Woo.
these kids did not understand that didn't used to happen.
right.
So yes, there's still things to complain about, and no, things never move fast enough. But have things changed?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
Wow.
yeah.
I
So
think that that's why these conversations are so important, and I think we're both really grateful that you took the time to talk to us because as good as these things seem now, or maybe as sometimes they seem
bad.
challenging now, we still need more representation. We still need these conversations to happen. We wouldn't know where we came from if
Mm.
revisionist history happens all the time and they're trying real hard to change
Very
the way
hard.
things were. I'm so happy that we're able to have these conversations so that we can hear directly, no, it was not sweet back then. We worked to get where we are now. So yep, still things to complain about, but don't think that it's been this good because it has not been.
It has not been. It has not been. And there are shoulders that we stand on. And if my shoulders are of any use to anybody to stand on, then they are here. But we have been kicking down doors
Mm,
for a while. And yes, we have a far, far way to go, but it's a lot better. And I just, yeah, that revisionist history. It was all right. We've been okay. We've been singing since the cotton fields and the cane
Oh
fields.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
all been good. Oh yeah, what are you complaining about? What's it? That was also long ago. No, no,
Oh
no,
yeah. Slavery was a
no.
choice.
In
That's
my
over.
lifetime, I have seen
mm,
a tremendous amount of change, and we still got a ways. to
Mhm.
go. But a lot of change.
Curious about one thing, real quick. You mentioned when you went back, and condolences for your mother. I know, even no matter how long it is, it can always have an impact. Afterwards, you say you worked at a job. Was that an acting job, or was it a different, a non-traditional type of, a different type of job?
When I was in Barbados,
Mhm.
when I went home, I still call it home after all of
It is
these years.
home. Come on
I
now,
have
that's home.
lived
That's the crib.
I have lived far more years outside of Barbados than I
It
have
don't
in
matter.
Barbados now. I mean,
That's
no,
your
mind
race.
you, when I left, I was almost 18. So
Mm.
a lot
Oh,
of people leave when they're 2 or 3, but I'm
Mm.
I'm born and bred.
yeah, yeah. The
That's the
accent's
thing.
still
But
there. So
no, I was it was not an acting job, but it was culture. I was working for the National Cultural Foundation, which is an arm of the government that deals with culture, and I got to do some really, really interesting things.
right.
And I was in, a theater thing here and a theater thing there, and I helped people start a theater company because that's what I do. Um, but it was a great time, but it was not I was no longer a professional actor. It is impossible to be a professional actor really at home.
Mm.
Um, unless, you really don't like eating that regularly.
I mean, you eat. All right. So I guess why I'm asking that is because after that, that job, I mean, because I know that was a traditional one. By the way, quick plug. Since you have Obsidian with these actors and these theater actors, I want to nominate one Tiffie Starchild for a potential role, because she's a stage actress too. She's being real humble right now, but this young lady right here stars in plays. She's an actor too. I know she tried to downplay it, but I want her
Hey,
on your call sheet at
oh
some point
Lord,
in time.
Tiffany, you got bitten by the bug too?
I was had I and to me, I'm seeing the universe and things connecting in a way that I didn't even know. I was a theater major. It's what I have my degree in. It's what I studied. Content creation I fell into, but I employed theater tactics to entertain, to engage, to educate. All of those things. And I'm like, okay, so I need to send her this Shakespeare thing just so she could see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on the stage like that anymore. Vince caught me last year doing a show after 5 years,
She was
but I'm like, maybe
phenomenal.
Allison would enjoy see me do this westernized Shakespeare just for fun. The interview wasn't about me, so I was gonna keep that. But in my mind, I'm just like,
I
oh
got you.
no, she's speaking directly to my spirit right now. I am a theater kid. I'm a theater kid.
Oh man, once a theater kid, it's just
Always.
we're strange animals. And the last the very last profession, because when I came back up, um because I call myself still semi-retired. But it was so gratifying because that theater company that I was the founding artistic director of turned around and gave me a job when I
Wow.
came back up here. And the
Oh,
last thing I
what?
did was, you should look it up, Tiffy. Alicia Harris's Is God Is.
Is God is.
Friend can write some stuff. She's a youngish American, Black American playwright.
Mhm.
And we don't always do, well, my focus when I was there was a lot of new Canadian work, but it was gratifying to do Is God Is. And
Mm.
so yeah, that was quite something. So take a look at that one. Put
I
that one
absolutely
on.
will. You told me to, and that will become my new hyper
Yeah.
fixation. So
And
Allison,
now I get to live this really this life. It's can I tell you a little bit about my life when I'm not being scorned?
please, please.
So
please.
I live on, so I'm a real island girl, right? So
Boy.
there's Barbados, my tiny little island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But now I'm on Manitoulin Island, which is a bigger island in Lake Huron
Mm.
in mid
Oh,
Ontario. And I live down a dirt track on 100 acres in the middle of nowhere, not a street light. There's no fast food. There's no malls. There's no anything. We just got two big arse woolly pigs. And I did say woolly pigs
She
They're
said ours.
yes.
Go ahead.
They're
Sorry.
woolly pigs. So I live on a farmstead with my daughter and her husband and my two grandchildren, and we have bees and chickens and ducks and these two big arse
I
woolly
Woolly
pigs.
pigs.
And sometimes, as somebody said the other day, oh, if people only knew, how different this is from what you do as Storm. And I went, why is it that different? Storm's so in tune with nature.
Come on now.
And I stand out there at sometimes at night, and there is where the blackness is like palpable. You feel as though you could
mm,
reach out into the dark and just break a piece off, and because they're no, and the stars are so bright, and I go, this is where I belong, and this is where Storm belongs. This
Ooh.
mm.
is exactly where a weather witch, where the mistress of the elements would go to when she is not, kicking the hell out of some sentinels. She would be out here, you
Wake it
know.
up because were it not for Charles Xavier, and this is just me going off, she'd been out there in nature where she wanted to be. But I digress.
Da-da-da-da.
I had to get that in.
Oh, you know
Actually,
what? We should talk about Tiffy at some point. We're not going to do it now because, my goodness,
yeah, we got it.
we're
Oh yeah,
talking all that time for.
Yeah, we about to
Listen,
head out.
listen. I gotta go. But
Yes.
we got to talk about the hair. We got to talk about the
Oh,
hair.
please.
The other day,
Thank you so much.
one of the holes that I fell down was this conversation
mm,
going back and forth about Storm's hair and
mm-hmm,
whether it should have been more natural or
mm.
not. So it's
Please.
just kind of interesting. But we ain't talking about it now because
Because you
it
gotta
is
Oh,
go.
I've
You
been
gotta
talking
go.
forever.
But I'm ready.
time is
I'm ready
done.
to jump in that. I don't know if
All
you
right,
saw
yeah,
my videos on that, but I'm ready to talk about that at any place, time,
yeah.
wherever.
Well,
Church, the grocery store, a funeral. I'm ready to go. Talk about that.
could you at least tell us which you prefer? Did you prefer the straight or the mohawk? Which one is your? If you had to rock one of these hairs, which one would you take?
Oh, I don't know. I love them. I love them both.
So,
I
so
really do love them both, and as somebody who doesn't play around with their hair too much, my hair has either been short like this, or for many years there I had long dreadlocks. I grew my own dreads, and I had dreads for the longest time. But I do envy women, the ones that I look at and go, "Oh my God, look at your hair. It's so different." And then you see them the next week and, "Oh my God, look at me." So I guess in an ideal world, she'd just rock both of them. And what you'd do is you'd just raise your arms and you'd use your magical powers. You would change. You'd change your hair. It
I would
was just
change mid-fight. Those sentinels wouldn't know where to find me. They're like, oh, because right now I have a bob, and now I have
yeah,
Bantu knots. You don't know who you're fighting. Like, let's go.
like, wasn't I
yeah.
fighting Frostorm when this started? But now here I am with relaxed dry storm. Miss Sealy, I don't want to keep you. We definitely got to let you go. We've extended our time too much. I had one last question, but if you can't answer it, it's fine because I know it's been a while. So we can save it for next time if you'd like. But it was like a very important question to me regarding our culture. I'll delve into it. This is back at C2E2. You gave a very vivid vision of what it was like to get here for the first time to the United States. And I just wanted to revisit that on the way out and just talk to us about where you are now versus where you were when you first got here, if it's okay. All right, real quick. Oh no,
I've never lived in the States.
no. Okay, so did you go to New Jersey to go to school?
She
No,
everything was
No,
in Canada.
Canada. Oh, my bad, my bad.
I
Oh, okay, my bad. All right, my bad. So I had this wrong.
I
So
have never
never
lived
lived in the
in the
States.
US. I left
Okay,
Barbados and I came to Canada. And
Canada.
I went out east to university and then in Toronto. I am coming to the States now to do Comic-Cons and to make appearances.
Ah,
But
well, I'm glad you
I've never none of my
did.
professional career was ever
Okay,
there. I didn't go to school there or
awesome.
anything. I am Barbadian. Canadian.
Canadian. Okay. Well, my apologies for the misinterpretation, but the reaction of your arrival is what kind of had me jarred, and I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to the culture if I didn't address this. Please talk to us about this experience.
I come from an island that's 95% black, the population. And I went to school in Sackville, New Brunswick, which is a tiny little town in the province of New Brunswick. So I come from this space where I feel pretty empowered. This is who I am. Most of the people around look like me. And then I get into this space and I'm 18 years old and people are asking me where my grass skirt and my spear were. They asked me if my blood was the same color as theirs. They asked why the palms of my hands weren't brown too. They wanted to know if I lived in the tops of trees. So yeah, I got a little crash course in how people treat difference. And I am sure that, yes, I would have channeled some of that into Storm.
Now, this hit me hard because this is something that nobody else on that stage may be able to relate to. You know, this is something you bring not only to the studio, but into the acting role. Could you just talk to us about what it was like to get greeted with those types of epithets? And I mean, what was that experience? Just without having to be shortchanged.
It I mean, it was amazing for me because as I said, I come from Barbados, and it's 94, 95% black. There are things that you just take for granted. All my teachers were black, the policemen, the judges, the people who read the news on your TV, and so you grow a certain way. And I think if I'd left Barbados and maybe come to a major city, to Toronto or Montreal, or if I'd gone to the States, and different cities there. But no, I end up in the country, and it was mind boggling, and I cried myself to sleep a lot of times. And I remember, and that was these were people who, except for the grass skirt and the spear, the thing that almost made you cry more was that these people really did want to know. They weren't hurling epithets.
Okay.
They were asking because they had never ever met a real life black person before in Sackville, New Brunswick. Now, there were some epithets thrown. Am I allowed to use a swear word on
Please.
your podcast? I will never forget going to Nova Scotia, Pictou, Nova Scotia. It's where my eldest dad, white guy, that's where he was from. And we met at university in Sackville, and we went to his hometown of Pictou, Nova Scotia. And he'd kind of warned me that, there weren't a lot of black people around. As a matter of fact, in whenever this would have been in like 1979, 1970, because we got married in 1980. In 1979, that we'd have gone to his hometown, and they had just recently taken a law off the books that said that black people could not be in town after sundown. It was a sundown town.
Sundown Town.
Canadian version of a sundown town. All of this, though, I'm hearing it, but it's not making a whole lot of sense to me.
Right.
Because I've seen this stuff on TV, but I don't know what you're talking about. So we'd gone for a long walk somewhere, and I said, "Look, let's go in there." And so this was like a pool hall tavern thing. I want a beer. Let's have a beer. I just want a quick beer, and then we'll head home. So we walk. He wasn't sure that we should go in, but I'm naive. I'm hot. In there looks dark and cool, and I want a beer. And we go in, and there's a bunch of good old boys, and they're playing pool, and literally everything stopped. And for a while there, all I heard, and it was repeated about 3 times, nigger bitch, nigger bitch, nigger bitch. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I didn't even know the word. I come from Barbados. We didn't toss the word around. It was just, I couldn't get it. And he goes, "Babe, let's leave." And I'm like, no, I came in here for the damn beer, and we're gonna sit down. And we sat there, and I mean, it took a long time to drink the beer because my throat is it's this tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we sat there, and I must have drunk half a beer, and really tense, but trying to pretend that I'm okay, and then left and walked back out. But there was nobody that was going to put me out of that damn thing.
Mm.
They would have to. But yes, that was what that was like. I remember he took me to a party. So, and at one point he leaves me, and and I'm sitting by myself, and he and his buddies, I can't remember what kind of party it was. He and his buddies were in the kitchen, and somebody comes out, one of the guys comes out, he's had too much to drink, and he sits down, and he says, I'm gonna talk to you because I don't see nothing wrong with talking to no nigga. But, so,
God, no.
why can't I talk to a nigga? I
Bruh.
Your heart is in the right place. Your heart is in the right place.
But your racism is not.
He wanted to have a conversation. He just couldn't see anybody else talking to the niggas, so he's gonna do it. How you doing?
What?
And we actually sat and had a conversation, and it was just the strangest thing. So yeah, times have changed. And I've lived a little bit of life, and so it's been interesting.
So there was no
I tell
slap.
you, in that tavern, if I'd had me a lightning bolt,
I'm saying.
boys,
Come on.
I'm saying,
I
you-
would have called down. I would have called
Yeah.
down some lightning, and I would have just burned up all that old hatred.
Yeah.
Burned it
Well,
up. But it's
I'm
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm sorry that the rest of the X-Men weren't there to help you in that moment, because it would have been a pivotal.
Did you listen to the story? She did not need them.
She did
not
No,
need
I
them.
But I
sat
would have
there.
liked Scott
I
to pull
sat
up and be
there.
like,
I
"Oh,
was not
you talking to
moving
like that?" You know what I'm
because
saying?
they weren't
Not
putting me out.
moving.
Yeah, they were doing their little nigga, but ain't nobody coming up to me. So I sat, and there was
Oh.
no. It seemed like the last thing that I was going to do was back up and back out of that place.
Right.
No, I was going to drink me my beer or half a beer, however much I got.
I think, with that, I think we've learned that she is Storm. She's handling these folks on her own. She don't need nobody. She got it. You know what I mean? She's got all these firsts behind her belt. And one of them is she even got Tiffie an emotional response. This has been so phenomenal, guys. Listen, that is
Alison, thank you so much for your time, for your experience that you share with us, everything that you gave us today.
Oh, well, thank you both.
Alison, thank you.
both.
We cannot thank you enough. We look forward to seeing even more of your projects. We know you're not just Storm. You got a whole lot of other things going on, but we cannot wait to see whatever Miss Alison Sealy-Smith has going on next. Thank you again.
Well, hopefully I'm going to be at Brooklyn Comic-Con coming up. So I'm going to be in Brooklyn at BK Comic-Con. Then I'm going to be in Soda City at in Charlotte, and then I am going to be where's that one? Oh, in Buffalo.
Whoa, close by.
Are you
so I've got
San Diego
3 of them
Comic-Con
in
right
June.
now?
So between New York, I'm in New York State at the top of June and the bottom of June, and in between I'm in North Carolina.
Are you going to be at San Diego Comic-Con by any chance? Do you know?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's her home con.
That's where I live.
I haven't done that one yet, and everybody's telling me, "Oh my gosh, you haven't experienced the con until you see this." And I'm going,
"That is the con." But if you need me to swing on anybody for you, I promise you, I can make fists with these nails. I'm well practiced. My time in the danger room. I'm ready to go.
So you're going to be there, Tiffie?
I'm going to be there.
You going, Vince?
It's debatable. We'll see. But you know what? Maybe strong, maybe.
Okay, good. Well, come look for me.
We will definitely come look for you, Miss Smith. We cannot.
I'm with Unknown Comics.
Okay.
I'm not in the celebrity autograph thing. I'm
Yeah,
down with the vendors with unknown comics.
that's
So
fascinating. I wish we
come
had more
see me.
time because you did that at MegaCon too. It's interesting that you're not
Yeah.
in like the major, whatever that alley is. You got your own little section. I won't keep you no longer, but maybe if we get a chance to speak with you again, we can delve
That
into
would be
even
good.
more stuff. Okay. So Miss
Okay.
Allison
All
Sealy-Smith,
righty. Talk to you
thank you
later.
for
This
the-
has been a pleasure.
yes,
Thank you
Miss Smith.
so
You
much.
take
You have
care,
a
guys.
great
Thank you
evening.
so much, Miss Allison Sealy-Smith. Everybody, we're gonna go ahead and let her on up out of here so she can enjoy the rest of her time. I am so much more educated on how dope Storm is now that I've had a chance to speak with Miss Smith. What did you take away from that interview, Tiffy? Because there's a lot of gems. I mean,
There
the
is a
last
lot.
part, me up, yo. The
Uh,
N-word. Come on.
I think just learning more about her process going in there, everything she said about going into audition for Storm, re-auditioning for Storm, the weight she carries and what she understands her impact to be now versus what she knew of it back then. And that to me, I'm thrilled. There's a lot that we know about Alison and about Storm just being in the fandom and having access to information and other interviews that she's done. I've never heard a lot of this information, and it felt like when we say like the recipes are being lost because younger generations don't speak to the generations that came before. I think that we were just gifted so much in this interview and so much even outside of Storm and the X-Men. That was a blessing and a gift that we just got to experience. So don't ask me no more questions, Vince. I gotta sit with my spirit for a little bit. I gotta decompress after that. That was an amazing
All right. Well,
experience.
let me say this last part, then I'll go ahead and end this. The thing that I think that was very, very impactful for me was when she had that realization at the Shakespeare play with the kids that were bussed in from the inner cities. And she realized that just because she looked the way that they weren't accustomed to, that she had that impact. And I dare say that was when she realized, like, as Storm, that's the impact she's having on the other side of that screen. So I'm happy that she had that experience. And I'm so happy that Alison was able to join us. We had Storm on Tiffy. So I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. As always, want you to continue to be your authentic self, because if you ain't being yourself, guess what? You being fake, homeboy, and ain't no honor in that. And in all things, for me, Tiffy, and everybody else associated with us, if you a geek, go ahead, let that geek flag fly. We on the way out. No